All right, everyone. Welcome back to Detroit Sports Flow here with BK and Speaks. This week, we will be diving into the 2025 NFL Draft as it gets started here next Thursday. Exciting times for the Lions here, Speaks, coming off of a great season. We're trying to build up here in the draft and make a run at this Super Bowl and finally get the job done this year. But let's dive into our projected top 10 picks here based off of what we have heard from the NFL media and then also what our beliefs are with what teams need. I'm going to start it off right here. We believe that the Tennessee Titans at pick 1 will be selecting Cam Ward, the quarterback out of the University of Miami. Cam Ward has been solidified basically as his first overall selection on the sports betting books. He's minus 20,000 to give you the indication. The Titans canceled their visits with Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter last week as well. So it's basically solidified that Cam Ward will be the first overall pick and the new starting quarterback of the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, it's looking like Cam Ward is the for sure number one pick. They're moving on from Will Levis. Hopefully his Hellman's Mayonnaise sponsorship got him some money because he's going to be sitting on the bench. Cam Ward's going to be the new quarterback there, and I think that's going to be a good pick for Tennessee. We'll wait and see. I'm not overly impressed with Cam Ward, but I do think he is the best quarterback in the draft. Someone say Shedeur. We'll just have to wait and see.
Exactly. And I think with Cam Ward, too, you're getting more of a solidified prospect.
Yeah.
A guy who can run, a guy who can throw. There's a lot of upside to his game. I see why Tennessee is taking the gamble here. He could be the quarterback for the future for him here.
100%. Next guy, pick 2, Cleveland Browns, Abdul Carter out of Penn State. This is where the draft gets kind of interesting. Abdul Carter has been tied to the Browns throughout the draft process. I think this makes a lot of sense, pairing him with Myles Garrett after he just signed that big contract this offseason, having him on one side, Abdul Carter on the other side. I think that is a force to be reckoned with for the next 5 years plus. I do not want to play that team with Jared Goff. That would be scary.
Yeah, we both believe that Abdul Carter will be the pick here.
Yeah.
Great linebacker edge out of Penn State. Gives a lot of similarities to Micah Parsons, who has been pretty dominant in the league with his time there. The consensus on the sports betting books and then also on a lot of mock drafts have them selecting Travis Hunter here. It sounds like they're talking to him about potentially starting at the wide receiver position and then expanding to be a wide receiver and also a corner. I'm not sure if that's a great idea. I feel like you're stretching your prospect.
It is
there,
the Browns after all.
But it is the Browns and they might try it.
They might try it.
We'll see, but I think Abdul Carter would be the better selection.
I think that's the smartest pick for Cleveland, but if we know anything with Cleveland, they don't make smart decisions, so I could definitely see Travis Hunter going here. I guess we'll wait and see. If they finally make a smart move, it's going to be Abdul Carter.
I agree.
Next guy, you got to get right into it. Who were we just talking about?
Next guy, third pick here, New York Giants, cornerback, wide receiver Travis Hunter. I believe if Travis Hunter is there, they're going to be faced with a tough decision. Travis Hunter is obviously a premier prospect in this year's draft. Would give the Giants a lot of help on both the offensive side and potentially the defensive side of the ball.
Not potential, according to him. If he's not playing both ways, he's quitting football.
Yeah, which seems crazy to me. It's like you're going to the professional football league. Come on, man.
I think he's just saying that he has so much confidence in himself and his abilities that he wants that opportunity to potentially play both. I think he's going to be realistic with it being a snap count on one. So I just think he's saying that to say, hey, I got the confidence I can do both. I am him.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that is kind of what his mindset is in those conversations about playing both sides of the ball. But I think any team who brings him in is going to start him at one position and then try to expand it from there.
Yep.
It is not easy to learn either side of the ball at the NFL level.
It's not.
So it's going to take some time for him to get acquainted to one side of the football. And then at that point, then he can start learning learning the other side.
Where do you see him playing better in the NFL, at the wide receiver or the cornerback position? I see him more as a cornerback myself.
I would agree with you, but I think his offensive skill set and how he does with the football in his hands intrigues a lot of teams about starting him at wide receiver, seeing what he can do there, and then kind of taking a peek at the cornerback side after that. But Speaks, the talk now is that Shedeur Sanders could very well be the third overall pick here for the Giants as well. It sounds like they had a last-minute visit with him last week. He showed up and played pretty well. So they might be switching their quarterbacks here. But they got Russell Wilson over there right now and
Jameis Winston. I mean, he was wearing the cleats, the New York Giants cleats on his last College game day. Had them all prime and ready. If anyone can handle the New York media in the spotlight, it is Shedeur Sanders. I'm not sold on Russell Wilson. I'm damn sure not sold on Jameis Winston, the turnover machine. So it would make sense, but I do think the Giants are doing this to blow some smoke, get teams confused with bringing Shedeur in for a visit. I think there's going to be a lot of movement in these first 10 picks in this draft altogether.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams are trying to move back. That's what I'm hearing. Anywhere from 6 to 18 seems to be a similar prospect grade-wise to these NFL teams. It is extremely difficult to project the mock draft in this year's draft after you get through the first 3 or 4 picks here. I think Shedeur Sanders would be a decent fit for him over there as well. However, I am not sure on Shedeur Sanders, and I think that is questionable for the Giants to do, to put all their eggs in that basket going forward. I thought he was good at Colorado, but that offense fit him to a T. They threw the ball a lot. They spread it out. I don't know if he'll be able to do those same things at the next level. He's not elite at anything is what I'm hearing from these teams, but he's good at a lot of things. So I believe that it might be Shedeur Sanders here at 3, but I have a hard time believing that Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter should be out of the top 3.
I totally agree with you. I guess we'll see what happens, and we'll go from there. At pick 4, New England Patriots, Mason Graham out of Michigan. This pick is either going to be Mason Graham or Will Campbell. I think it's going to be Mason Graham. If you're a Michigan fan like BK and I, we know this is one of the best players in the draft. He can do everything. He's a run stopper. He's a pass rusher. He's always in the right spot at the right time. His football IQ, his intangibles, it's just all there. You couldn't ask for a better defensive tackle than Mason Graham.
I agree. I think the thing with Mason Graham that a lot of people aren't looking at is he destroyed the national champions before they went on their playoff run. They tried to run right at Mason Graham, and Mason Graham destroyed the game plan for Ohio State. I think Mason Graham is an elite dominant force and a guy that you're talking about has the upside of being like an Aaron Donald type of player.
100%.
Regardless, he's going to be a really, really good pro for a lot of years. The talk is that the New England Patriots their GM has come out and said publicly that they're looking to build up the trenches in this year's draft. This is a great way to start on the defensive side of the ball. I also believe that they might consider Ashton Jeanty here as well. I think pairing him up with Drake May makes a lot of sense, and Ashton Jeanty, in my opinion, is one of the top 3 or 4 players in this draft. I think he would be a good fit as well.
I like that sentiment for Ashton Jeanty, pairing him up with Drake May, because he needs a running back over there, take a little pressure off of him. He had a great rookie year last year, but it would be nice to have a reliable running back who can take a lot of pressure off him in his sophomore year.
Yeah, and that's my thought as well. I think, putting all the pressure on Drake May, not having a ton of weapons around him at the wide receiver spot makes things tough on him. If they were able to get a running game and establish the trenches a little bit more, I think that would put New England in a better spot going forward here.
I totally agree. And then who do we got at 5, BK?
Oh, at 5, we're talking about Jacksonville Jaguars selecting here. And I believe this is kind of out there. A lot of people aren't mocking it. But I believe that they're going to select Ashton Jeanty, the running back out of Boise State, with this pick. I think Ashton Jeanty, like I mentioned earlier, is a top 5 player in the draft.
I totally agree.
He is a Jacksonville native. And then on top of that as well, Trevor Lawrence needs a lot of help over there.
Boy, does he ever.
And they don't really have the running back position figured out with Tank Bigsby
No.
and then also Travis Etienne over there. I think Genty's a good fit for them to build their offense
I think
around.
it's a really good fit, especially after how Trevor Lawrence's season ended last year. Him running, getting concussed like that. Take pressure off Trevor Lawrence, put it on Genty. That would do well for Jacksonville, settle everything down, get the new coach acquainted. I think it makes a lot of sense to get a running back in there. You look at all the teams last year who brought a good running back in. Baltimore with Henry. You got Philly with Barkley.
Saquon, yeah.
You know, it does wonders for a good quarterback, so I think this makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah, it's not like overly expressed like it's going to happen
Yeah.
in the NFL media right now, but I think Ashton Genty fits them very well. I think also Mason Graham will be the Jags pick if he is here and available at pick 5.
The Jacksonville native, I think, really rings home there. He could play at home. I bet he's really pushing for it, so we'll see how things shake up there. But I think that would be a smart, good pick for Jacksonville if he's still on the board. Next, we got the Las Vegas Raiders. We're thinking Will Campbell here out of LSU. Great offensive lineman. He can move either way. He moves up in the pocket. He has everything you want in an offensive lineman. He can pancake you. He's very smart. He can move upfield. I love everything I see about Will Campbell. BK.
Elite pass protection.
Yeah.
And the other side of it is consistency. Will Campbell has been a consistent, great offensive lineman in collegiate football for the last couple of years. I believe that Will Campbell would be a great fit for the Raiders as they try to build up their trenches over there as well with a restart.
While they're protecting their new investment that they just paid in Geno.
Yes, I agree. Next pick number 7, the New York Jets are going to select, in my opinion, or in our opinion, offensive tackle Armand Membao out of Missouri. Membao has been skyrocketing up boards since they saw him over at the Combine. Great athlete at 332 pounds. Very much has a mean streak. Great in the rushing attack and also can help protect the quarterback over there for the Jets. Aaron Glenn is now the Jets head coach, former defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. So I think he's going to try to bring over the Detroit Lions style there. And with that, he's going to try to build up the offensive line.
100%. He has to protect his new investment, his new quarterback who just came over from Pittsburgh. Mobile quarterback, this outside tackle, is able to move upfield with a running quarterback. So I think this makes a lot of sense. If Aaron Glenn learned anything through the Lions, we build our team through the trenches, and I think that's what he's going to do with his new mold and his new vision over there in New York. So I think that's a very smart pick, and AG, we love you. So I wish you nothing but the best. Next pick, we have the Carolina Panthers, Jalen Walker out of Georgia. Jalen Walker has size. He has athleticism. He has everything to be the difference maker in the pass rush, and Carolina desperately needs that, especially after some trades that they made, BK.
Yeah, great defensive line edge out of Jalen Walker. Unbelievable athlete, like you mentioned. He's a situation where you can move him to linebacker, you can move him to edge, a lot of versatility.
Versatile.
Yeah, can really create the matchups and the pass rush that you were looking at when you had Brian Burns. You obviously traded Brian Burns away to the Giants last year. I think Jalen Walker is a good fill-in for him. Really helps to elevate their defense. But the other name that I'm hearing too for this spot is wide receiver out of Arizona, Tech McMillan. He is an unbelievable big body. Didn't run the best.
Big body.
Yeah, didn't run the best 40 time. A lot of people are suspect about his attitude a little bit going into the draft and his commitment to the game of football. But when you're talking about a big play threat down the field who can go up and get it, it doesn't get better than Ted McMillan.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of a former draft pick of ours, Kenny Galladay, that big body, big wide receiver type. Little bit questionable character, so we'll have to see what happens. But I still think they go Jalen Walker. But you never know with Carolina either.
Exactly. Next pick number 9 here, New Orleans Saints. We have them selecting quarterback Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado. I don't believe Shedeur will fall very far if he is to
this
fall
is the
past
furthest
the Giants.
I think he would fall, possibly.
Yeah, because New Orleans doesn't really have a quarterback in place over there as well.
No.
I think they'll consider Jackson Dart here at 9 if Shedeur is gone. But it's Derek Carr doesn't seem to be the long-term solution over there. And Shedeur Sanders was very impressive in college. There's a lot of upside to his game. And if you can get the most out of him, then you got to feel pretty good about that pick at 9.
100%. I think Shedeur makes a lot of sense here. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the draft, if not the best, like I already talked about earlier. He has all the intangibles you're looking for, but can he do it at the professional level? Is his arrogance gonna come down a little bit? Can he lead an NFL team without his daddy at the helm? These are all things we have to wait and see. I also kind of think with his relationship with Tom Brady, I think there might be a little splash there at that pick with the Raiders. At pick, what is that? Pick 6. Yeah, so I could see that possibly happening there too. They have a really good relationship, but like you said, they don't have a quarterback. Carr could be out this year with that shoulder injury, and they need something. So Shedeur makes a lot of sense here. So we'll have to wait and see.
Well, and the other side of that, too, is they'll be looking at tight end as well. If Shedeur Sanders is gone, that's where we get into our next pick.
Yeah, Chicago Bears, Tyler Warren out of Penn State. Great check down option. Bears have a young QB, and what better to have a good check down option and Old Faithful in a tight end like Tyler Warren.
Yeah, outstanding athlete, does more than just be a tight end. Very similar to Brock Bowers in that sense.
Yep.
I think everybody's trying to get a Brock Bowers after the incredible
they
season he had for the Raiders last year. Yeah, exactly. So it's like every team is going to be trying to find that type of guy. Tyler Warren is that guy. If, for instance, Tyler Warren is gone at pick 9, or another option that Chicago could consider here at 10 would also be Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle there out of Ohio State, will be the 3rd offensive tackle taken, and the Bears might be looking to build up those trenches and protect
Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams as well.
100%. They've done a pretty good job this offseason, but they have a lot of work to do on that offensive line to protect that investment in Caleb Williams, so it makes a lot of sense for them to keep building that offensive line or get a faithful tight end, check down receiver, and Tyler Warren. So we'll see what happens, but that's our top 10. Now let's get into what everyone wants to talk about.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Detroit Lions draft prospects and their picks coming up with this draft. The first pick for the Detroit Lions on Thursday night will be pick 28 towards the end of the draft. That's what you get when you have a very good season, Speaks.
Little bit different scenario this year. We're not in the top, couple, picks. It's a bit different this year, and we got to wait a little bit longer.
Exactly, and there's a lot of question marks on who will be available at pick 28, but we're going to do our best to show you some of the prospects who may be available and maybe getting some of our attention pre-draft here. But the first pick will be pick 28 in the second round, so the second day we will have pick 60, and then also in the third round we will have pick 102.
Thank you, Aaron Glenn.
Round 4 we will have pick 130. Round 6 we'll have pick 196, and then round 7 we'll have pick 228, and then also pick 244. So a lot of options to be moving up in the draft, navigating around it, finding the guys that you're looking for.
Just let Brad Holmes cook, baby. Him and MCDC, get your popcorn ready. It's going to be a fun draft. Sheila Hamp, the whole crew, baby. I'm stoked to watch this.
Yeah.
It just makes me happy. This guy right here, he drafted. Let's go.
This is, what Brad Holmes does.
This is what he does, baby.
Whenever we're having a draft, he's getting some of the best prospects in the draft, guys who really contribute for us. I think, this is where we shine. First one here Speaks is a little unique.
It is
Everybody kind of hit the panic button when they had him in for a in-person visit this week. But wide receiver Matthew Golden out of Texas, 5'11", 191 pounds.
Speedster.
Some mocks have him fall into the second round. I think that's because of his size. I think it's, a situation where Matthew Golden had an outstanding season. I think he could be the first wide receiver drafted in this year's draft. Great route runner, explosive ability with the ball in his hands. Also, can work the intermediate routes and make those contested catches down the field. I think Golden would be a great pick for us here. Also ran a 4.29 at the draft, so
blazing.
Good speedster. And the talk that happened after the Matthew Golden visit was, is Jameson Williams going to be traded? How's that kind of looking with that wide receiver room?
Rubbish.
I don't believe that's going to happen.
No.
I think Matthew Golden would come in and be that wide receiver 3 for us. And then if Jameson Williams and Detroit can't work out a contract with his re-sign phase, then at that point Golden will become the 2.
I think you're 100% correct there, BK. Matthew Golden is not a replacement for J-Mo. He'll be our solidified third wide receiver. We need to add depth. Patrick had a great season for us, but where was he at the end of the season? We need to add this depth, and this is a perfect guy to do it. He can run these intermediate routes, learned from St. Brown. It'll be scary with him, J-Mo, St. Brown, Laporta, and
Gibbs.
Tim Patrick, Gibbs. I think this would be a really smart pick, and we can also utilize him after everyone loved Raymond retires. He has a few good years, but it looks like this dude can really fly, and maybe utilize him in the kick and punt return game too.
Yeah, great off the line. The speed that he brings to the table is outstanding. Having a guy who runs a 4.29 next to Jameson Williams would cause defenses a ton of problems.
Yeah.
I think this would be an outstanding selection for us at pick 28 if he is to fall there.
Yeah, and just to go back on that J-Mo, trade talk, we are not going to be trading Jameson Williamson. Waymo, when you saw him in our offense last year, it transcended our offense light years, and we would be so stupid to trade him in the draft right now. Even with all the contracts and the people we have to pay, it's not going to happen right now. It's rubbish. We're not going to ruin the chemistry he's built with Goff, and he's built with the whole offense unit. So I just wanted to say that right now. If I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong here.
I think we're selling out for a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a situation where you don't want to get rid of people.
Yeah.
You want to bring people in.
100%.
We're so close to getting to that goal. I think they'll navigate the roster and be able to keep him aboard for this season.
100%. So now we'll get into some biggest needs that we have. Obviously, we need an edge rusher. That was very evident down the stretch last year, especially with all the injuries. Who better than Jahad Campbell out of Alabama? This boy is a freak, man. He can get off the line with the best of them. He's great in pass defense and coverage. I like everything about Jahad Campbell.
Yeah, he's everywhere.
He's
similar to what Brian Burns was coming into.
Brian Branch,
coming into Detroit. He's just everywhere on the film.
Football intangibles are off the chart.
I would be surprised if Jahad Campbell gets to 28. I think he's the only guy that I would trade up for in the draft to try to get. First team All-SEC this year, led the Alabama team in tackles with 117, had 11.5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, and started in all 13 games.
Yeah.
Incredible motor, can play the linebacker spot, can play the edge, would be a great addition to the defense.
Like you said, he has the motor that it resembles our boy Aiden Hutchinson. When you see a motor like that, you want someone on the other side like that. That would be a scary combination, and Brad Holmes loves his Bama boys.
Yeah, and Campbell, ran a 4.52.
Yeah, so that's that's not so bad.
That's cooking.
Yeah, that is cooking for a big guy.
Next on the list here speaks, I know you and I are both hoping that he falls here. I think,
boy, are we ever.
He could go higher, he could go lower. It sounds like most experts have him going in the second round, which really surprises me. Defensive tackle Kenneth Grant out of Michigan, 6'4", 331 pounds, absolutely a load on the interior defensive line. Third team Associated Press All-American, second team All Big Ten this year, 32 tackles, 3 sacks. he's not a sack artist. But
No.
what this guy does is fill gaps and swats down passes.
You're damn right.
Very tall, very much has the length
Lengthy.
and the arms, the instincts to get his hands up. That becomes problematic for teams. And then he's a perfect fit to put next to Aleem McNeil going forward
100%.
because he's going to demand respect with his quick jump off the ball and also his ability not to really be moved in there.
Well, it really makes sense too, BK, because we don't know how long Aleem the Dream McNeil's going to be out. He's coming off that ACL injury late in the season. We're probably not going to get him back till at least after Thanksgiving, one would think, if not a little bit longer. So getting Kenneth Grant here matched up with DJ Reader and the rest of the boys up front makes a lot of sense. He can learn from Reader. Reader only has 1 year left on his deal, so getting a young defensive tackle here in Grant makes a lot of sense. Michigan guy, coming to Detroit, he can play with Aiden. I think it would be a good natural fit for him, and I really like the length out of this guy. I think that would help us tremendously.
Yeah, I completely agree. And when Jim Harbaugh comes out and says after he pulls in Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham in the same draft class and said these are two of God's gifts to football, usually that should perk up your ears a little bit.
Yes.
Both these guys are going to be premier players in the NFL and be starters for a long time.
100%. And if he wasn't playing with Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant would get a lot more noise. But because he played with Mason Graham, he's not talked about as much.
Exactly.
Next guy we got on our board, Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State, 6'6", 312 pounds. He is a great offensive lineman. He can move up the field. He can run with your running back. He knows all the assignments. He doesn't get beat. I love his footwork. I love this guy, BK.
Yeah, the versatility is what really stands out about Zabel.
Yep.
I think that makes him maybe the best offensive line prospect in this draft after Will Campbell and Membao. But when you're talking about Zabel, you're talking about a guy who can play all 5 offensive line positions.
Exactly.
Plays left tackle, plays left guard, plays right guard, plays right tackle, plays center, every one of them. But the thing that really stands out to me about Zabel is the fact that he started all 16 games this season for North Dakota State, was an FCS first-team All-American, won a national championship starting at left tackle for all of those games, and he's got that versatility.
That's special.
Great footwork, mean streak. Zabel would be an outstanding pick for us.
It would be an outstanding pick and a absolute benefit for us to have that versatility on the offensive line. We already know Penny can do it. We all know Graham Glasgow could do it. Now, if we get this guy who can do it too, it just opens up more things with injuries. And that's bound to happen in this league. And Dragnow's getting older.
Yep.
We don't know what we have with Mahogany yet. He showed some promise down the stretch, but there's not enough tape on him. So it's a wait and see with him. So if we can get a guy with this much versatility, I think it's a no-brainer.
Yes, I agree. I don't know if we'd have to move up to get him. I'm not sure I'd move up to get him.
If he's sitting there, snag him, but I don't know if I move up either.
Yeah, and I don't expect him to get to 28, so we will see what that looks like.
Yep.
Next guy on our list here is edge Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. He's 6'5", 267 pounds, has a first-round grade.
This boy can move.
And he can move, and he plays with a physical brand of football. I think, the thing with Shamar Stewart is his stats don't pop off the charts, but when you look at the tape,
I see the tape
upside.
Doesn't lie.
I see the upside with him. I mean, the guy pushes the opposing offensive lineman back just about every time. He's quick off the ball. Ended up being third-team All-SEC this year, started 12 games, had a pedestrian stat line with 31 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, and 1.5 sacks, but his best football is in front of him, and if you get him into a pro system that knows how to develop talent on the edge, Shamar Stewart could become a superstar for
He has that raw talent. When I was watching his tape, I know this is a outlandish comparison since he's not even in the league yet, but I saw some Julius Peppers reminisce when I was watching the tape. Just that freakish athleticism and those football instincts with the speed on the outside. I just really liked what I saw to this guy, and I think his ceiling is extremely high.
I agree. I think the size and the way he moves is crazy too. He posted a 4.59 40-yard dash at 267, a 1.58 10-yard split in there, and then had a 40-inch vertical and almost an 11-foot broad jump.
Yeah.
I get why people are like, hey, this guy is skyrocketing out boards. I don't know if he'll be there at 28, but he would be a good fit for us if he falls that far.
Another edge guy that me and BK like a lot, Mike Green out of Marshall. 6'3", 251 pounds. Second team All-Associated Press, second all-team All-American, Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year, 84 tackles, 22.5 tackles for loss, 17 sacks, BK.
Led the NCAA.
Led the NCAA. If you want someone who can get off the ball and get to your quarterback at ease, Mike Green's the guy.
I agree, and he played great against the tougher competition
sure
that he had to go up against. Like when he played against Ohio State, he had success.
He sure did.
I like Mike Green's game. There is a little bit of question about the off-the-field issues.
Yes.
I know he had a couple of sexual assault cases that he was accused of. He denied both the claims and both were dropped. Mike Green, though, I mean, I don't know if I like him more than some of these other edges, though.
I'm not sure I do either. And then with the character flaws and the way we build our team and our culture, I don't know if Brad Holmes will bring in a guy. Yes, he might take a risk on a guy like JMO, but sexual assault allegations, those are we don't mess around with that stuff.
Yeah, he's got the relentless motor, and he's got an outstanding spin move, but the thing with him is he kind of rushes in a style where it's just a speed rush, and if he can't beat the guy with the speed rush, I'm not sure how successful he is. I think there's better athletes at the edge position, but Mike Green's tape is pretty good.
It's really good, but once he starts playing some of these NFL quarterbacks too with their pitch counts and their hard counts, it's going to be interesting to see if he can get off the line as quick as he does in the college game. So that's going to be something to wait and see too. Exactly.
Next guy on our list here is another edge. James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee, 6'5", 245 pounds. He ran a 4.47 at the 40-yard dash, a 1.56 10-yard split there, 31 inch vertical jump, and then a 10'3" broad jump. Was absolutely a combine star as well. And James Pierce Jr., I get why he was a top 5 pick when we projected pick when we entered into the college football season. This guy moves quick, has a relentless motor, very much good in the run game, very much good with the pass rush. I think James Pierce Jr. is a great pick for us here. The question marks become, what is he in the locker room? I've heard out of Tennessee that he has an extreme anger issue where it's tough to talk to the guy if he has a bad game or if he's in his head at all. I think that becomes problematic, but if you get him into a stable spot where he's got good leadership, like a Hutchinson where he's going to listen or something like that, this pairing would be unbelievable. I think James Pierce Jr., just tape-wise, is a top 15 guy in this draft.
Yeah, I agree, and he can also cover in the passing game. He's a tremendous in the passing game, and he has all the intangibles you look for in an edge rusher. It's just his mental stability. I don't, like you said earlier, we're all in going to a Super Bowl. We don't want a project. We want someone who can contribute. So I'm not sure we go this route, but he's a damn good player.
I don't think Pierce is a project on the field.
Not on the field, just off the field. Off the field mentally.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, you don't want to stir up ruckus in your locker room.
Exactly.
And
we've come too far.
Yeah, we're built on, the grit in the locker room and having all the guys buy in. I'm not sure James Pierce fits that, but if you're able to get him to fit that, he would be a steal at 28.
100%. Another edge guy, Donovan Aruzarinku out of Boston College, 6'2.5", 248. I think this dude is a great player, comes off the line extremely fast. He can drop back in coverage if need be. He bats balls down. He's great in the run game. I like everything I see about this guy. We drafted Mahogany out of Boston College. This is kind of a sneaky pick.
Sneaky, but not that sneaky. But the other side of it, too, is I'm hearing that NFL teams are kind of uncertain about the guy, where it's kind of a split thing down the middle, where some teams like him, some teams don't like him. I look at what he did last year for Boston College, and I'm not really sure how people can look at him and say he's not going to be productive.
And he showed up in the biggest games against the biggest competition. That's what I really liked when I watched his tape.
Exactly. Well, he won that Ted Hendricks Award, nation's top defensive end this year. Was a first-team All-American, ACC Defensive Player of the Year, first-team All-ACC, ranked second in the FBS with that 16.5 sacks, and then also third with 20.5 tackles for loss. I think, he's very good. My question mark is how good was the ACC this year? And do I want an ACC guy over one of these SEC pass rushers?
Very good
I'm
point.
not sure about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that either. That's a very valid and good point, because we don't know how good that conference was compared to the SEC. So we'll have to wait and see, but the tape doesn't lie on this guy.
Yeah, very much good, and had an outstanding season last year. He deserves to be a first-round pick.
He definitely deserves to be a first-round pick.
Next on the list here, one of my favorite prospects. I'm not sure he'll get to 28, but if he does, this will be a guy that we really consider as well. Is offensive guard Tyler Booker out of Alabama. He's 6'5", 321 pounds, and this guy moves people's space.
Does he ever?
He said in his interview that he likes to make opposing defenses' lives miserable.
I like that.
That's how he goes about his game. He was second-team All-American this year, first-team All-SEC, team captain over at Bama, and started all 13 games. Tyler Booker would come in and fit the Detroit Lions' offensive line style day one, and he could potentially be a starter for us day one. Booker would be a great pickup for us here at 28. I wouldn't be surprised if we try to move up a couple spots to get him if he's sitting there in the 20s.
I would not be surprised one bit. This boy has grit. He loves football. He wants to make your life miserable, just like Penny and the rest of the boys up front. This would be a perfect addition to add up front in the trenches for us. I would love this pick for us. I think I want this offensive lineman more than anyone.
Yeah, I think I prefer him over Zabel too,
yeah.
But it's close. Because Zabel, he played at a lower level. I don't think he played the same competition as Booker. And then, it's the uncertainty about what position you want to plug him in at. If you're trying to get your center replacement, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to build up the guards, Tyler Booker is the guard.
Yeah, Zabel or Booker, I would not be mad at either one. I think each of them are tied, but the versatility with Zabel is the big thing.
Exactly.
Right? Next guy we got, another edge rusher out of Michigan, Josiah Stewart, 6'1", 249. Second team All Big Ten, led the team with 13 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks, started 11 games, 33 tackles, 2 forced fumbles. He is a great player, captain. When you're a captain, that means a lot. And now you're going to the next level. That shows something to teams that are going to draft you, doesn't it, BK?
Yeah, I have a feeling that Hutch has been in the ears of a couple of the management guys over in Detroit and talking a little bit about Josiah Stewart because we've had an in-person interview with him, and then we've also had a couple of virtual interviews with him. He's projected to go in the third round, so this is a later selection. This isn't one of those guys at the top there that we were looking at pick 28. But what Josiah Stewart does is he's very good off the edge, very fast, great pass rusher. I don't know how he plays the run necessarily, and I think that's why he's down in the third round grade. But as a pure pass rusher, Josiah Stewart is as good as anybody.
It doesn't get much better as far as pure pass rushers go as Josiah Stewart. He gets off the line as quick as anyone, and he's going to get to the quarterback and produce turnovers and sacks.
Yep, I agree. Be a great selection for us.
Great selection.
Next on the list here, another guy who's we're kind of looking at in the second round has been projected to us, but Speaks and I aren't really necessarily huge on this guy. Guard Tate Ratledge out of Georgia, 6'6.5", 308 pounds. He's projected to go in the second round, like I was mentioning. Third team All-American, first team All-SEC. Played 10 games with 9 starts at right guard. Missed 4 games due to having a tightrope surgery on his left ankle late in the season. I look at the guy's tape. He's pretty good. He plays a physical game. I know he pushes the offensive lineman back most of the time off the snap, but after that, I'm not all that impressed with him. I think if you could get a good value at Ratledge, you start to think about it, but other than that, I'm not really sold on him.
Out of all the tape I've watched on all the offensive linemen, I was least impressed with Ratledge. He gets beat a decent amount of times. He doesn't move up in the pocket or in the run game very well. I think he was a product of the Georgia, playing with Georgia and the players around him. I'm not sold on him out of all the great offensive linemen that are in this draft. Like you said, if he falls to us at a decent spot, maybe consider it, but I'm the lowest on Ratledge than I am any other offensive lineman that we could get with our picks.
I agree.
Heck yeah. Next guy we got. Defensive tackle, Vernon Broughton out of Texas. This boy can play. I remember him tearing us up watching the Michigan game.
So did Matthew Golden.
Yeah, so did Matthew Golden. He tore us up too. Not a great game for our boys in blue. He's 6'5", 311 pounds. Played in all 16 games, 15 starts, 39 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss with 4 sacks. 2 pass breakups and 2 forced fumbles. This guy can do it all. I really like what I saw. He can stop the run. He can get after the quarterback. And boy, is he a big boy.
Yeah, Broughton is an immovable force inside of the defensive line there. I think he's a good fit for us in the later rounds. They have him projected to go right around the 4th round. I think Broughton would be a good addition for us to build up that defensive tackle depth like we were talking about, kind of get some guys in there that you can start to groom for when Reeder is moving on, and then also fill in for McNeil as we're waiting on him to get back from injury.
100%.
Next guy on the list here, Jonas Sanker out of Virginia, 6 foot, 206 pounds. He's got a 3rd round, 4th round grade on him. I love Sanker's game here.
So do I, BK. So do I.
He is first team All ACC, led the team with 98 tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss, started all 12 games. The thing with Sanker that is unique here, Speaks, is he is an elite in the box safety, similar to what Brian Branch was. Very good at tackling guys when they are within range. I mean, 98 tackles.
Forced fumbles, too.
As a safety is crazy to lead your team in tackles. But he's got great instincts and coverage. And then on top of that, he's going to lay the boom. So if you're looking for a safety in the depth, I know we're looking at that with Malafanu moving on. Sanker would be a really good pick if he's able to get to us. It would not surprise me if Sanker flies up this draft and ends up going in the 2nd round.
I love this pick if we're able to do it. If us Lions fans know one thing from last year, we need depth at safety, cornerback. With all the injuries we had, we were pulling guys off the street. So anytime you can have depth at this position and learned under a Branch, learned under a Kirby Joseph, I think this makes a lot of sense. And he is so good at everything. I did not see a weak spot in the film. I would love to get Sanker, and we need depth on that in that secondary, BK, in the worst of ways.
And Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell value tape, so that's where Sanker really comes into play here because his tape is off the charts.
It is off the charts, man. I love everything about his game. Next guy we got is Quadarius. The guys call him Q. Robinson out of Alabama, 6'4", 243 pounds. Played 9 games with 5 starts, 23 tackles, 7 tackles for loss with 4 sacks. He had some forced fumbles. I think this guy is a damn good player, BK. He does all the little things, and he's very smart.
Yeah, has a 5th, 6th round projection here as well, Speaks. Quick off the edge, really sets the edge. Would be a steal if the Lions are able to get him late in the draft. The guy would be drafted much higher if he was not injured for the last portion of the year with the elbow injury. Brad Holmes loves his Bama boys.
Loves his Bama boys.
I could see Q Robinson ending up in Detroit. I know he was brought in for an in-person visit, and then also we've had a couple of virtual visits with him too.
Yep.
Q Robinson would give us great edge depth, and I think that would be a great ad for us.
And we need edge depth, so I would love that pick.
Last guy that we're looking at here is linebacker Kobe King out of Penn State, 6'1", 236 pounds, has a 4th, 5th round grade. I think he might go a little bit past that, but he was 2nd team All Big Ten, started all 16 games for Penn State, ended up with 97 tackles, 8.5 of them were for loss, and then also had 3 sacks. The guy is really good against the run, Speaks. I don't know about his ability to cover in the passing attack, but he is a Detroit native. The guy is very physical, fits a lot of the mold on what we look for in linebackers. I think Kobe King is a guy that we'll be looking at late in the draft. Also, Detroit native, which is huge.
Like you said, Detroit native, and as a Lions fan, you guys all know we had a lot of linebacker injuries last year. Anzalone, Derek Barnes. Who else did we have who got hurt? Malcolm Rodrigo. How did I forget my boy Rodrigo? So having a guy like this come in, learn underneath all those guys. We re-signed Barnes. Rodrigo's coming back from his ACL injury. I think this would be great depth for us. He doesn't need to come in and do anything too much. He can learn underneath Campbell, Anzalone, Barnes, Rodrigo, and our new defensive coordinator who happened to be a linebacker himself, and Calvin Shepard. So I think this pick makes a lot of sense because we needed linebackers last year. We were pulling guys in who were retired, putting them at linebacker who used to play safety, and Jamal Adams. So, I think this makes a lot of sense for depth piece, and he has the best guys to learn from in that linebacker room and our new defense coordinator.
Yeah, and we're trying to replace Reeves Maben, too.
Yes, exactly.
And Kobe King could be an addition there to help us with that.
100%. We wanted to shoot this first episode video style with the draft. We always look forward to this draft. We hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Detroit Sports Flow with BK and Speaks. You blue Kool-Aid drinkers, have a great rest of your days, you filthy animals.